Hello and a very warm welcome to the channel, and wow, just wow, we have hit 10,000 subscribers, which is amazing. It's far more than I've expected. I'm immeasurably grateful. If you're one of my subscribers, I will happily provide you with a character reference for a job interview, for court, if you ever require one. And I'm now coming for PewDiePie. So PewDiePie versus T-Series had nothing on PewDiePie versus British Guy Reacts. So now I've got another React video. This is another American themed one. It's actually a request. I will have some more history ones coming very soon, but so I'm just on a bit of a roll with my American stuff. So this is the 10 most dangerous animals in the US, which I'm really excited about because I think it's an area where there's a clear difference between the US and the UK. In the UK, there aren't really any dangerous animals. I mean, if you go out in the countryside, the most dangerous thing you're going to come across is a deer, like a large deer maybe. In some parts of the country, maybe a wild boar. But there's nothing that's really going to do serious harm, other than humans, of course, the most dangerous predator of all. Whereas in the United States, I believe that's not the case. I think there are some dangerous animals. So off the top of my head, I can think of alligators, which I saw in Florida, and they're terrifying. Bears, I think you get bears. Obviously, poisonous snakes, sharks. So those are the four that spring to mind, but I'm sure there are more. So yeah, we'll watch this, and I will probably become much more grateful that I live where I do than I was before I started. The video is from a channel called They Will Kill You, so I'm sure it won't be sensationalized in any way, and it will be a thoroughly scientifically rigorous account of the dangers. So let's go.
Number 10.
Ooh, ominous start. Expected this one.
North American brown bears have a fearsome reputation to go with their physical prowess and outstanding natural weaponry.
Sure.
The common name, grizzly, is often used in reference to brown bear species found in the US.
Okay.
These include the Ursus arctos horribilis, or
What? That's a Harry Potter spell. I'm sorry, that's not a bear. It's a Harry Potter spell. Just putting that out there.
mainland grizzly, the peninsula grizzly, and Kodiak bears, only found in.
So I didn't realise that there were several different species of brown bear or kind of grizzly bear in North America. Are they fully different species, or are they kind of different subspecies? I'm not sure, but that's interesting because I thought I know there were black bears and I know there are brown bears and I know there's like kind of polar bears like right at the top of Canada, but I didn't realise there was like four different types of grizzly bear. One of which sounds like a J.K. Rowling invention. So,
Alaska's eponymous archipelago. The latter rivals the polar bear as the largest land carnivore on Earth.
ooh, wow.
Kodiak bears have been known to weigh over 1,500 pounds, which is almost as heavy as the average bull. As
Okay.
evident from the prominent muscular hump on their shoulders, grizzlies are built for power. Moreover, they have massive canines,
Ooh,
claws,
wow.
and arms to see.
That's just Wolverine. I'm sorry. That is literally just Hugh Jackman from the X-Men movies, except on a much bigger, a much bigger body. That's terrifying. Imagine that coming at you.
Inches and jaws strong
Horrible.
enough to crush bowling balls.
Ooh.
As a grizzly stands up on its hind legs, it will often use its superior strength to take.
It's weird because it simultaneously looks absolutely terrifying and really cute. Like there are very few other animals that do it. Most animals either look cute or terrifying. The grizzly bear somehow manages both at the same. Like you want to give it a hug and you also want to run away, which is
Down a victim. It will bite at the victim's lower jaw, which
Really?
is most likely a disarming technique. Confrontations between humans and grizzly bears can occur.
so that's how I can't bite it back, presumably. Which I mean I'm almost flattered that the grizzly bear thinks I'm in some way any threat in terms of the power of my bite. But obviously I'm sure it's used to dealing with more dangerous animals than me.
As a result of hunting, as well as camping.
Ooh.
They have a phenomenal sense of smell and are often attracted to food that hasn't been stored properly. There have been several reports of campers being dragged out of their tents by attacking grizzlies.
Oh God.
Conditioning the bears to campsite food can accustom them to human presence, thus increasing the likelihood of future attacks.
Okay.
Number
So essentially, you keep your food away from your campsite or something. I do remember someone told me, I can't remember who it was, but like of the three main kind of types of bears you get in America, like the black bears, grizzly bears, and polar bears. If you get attacked by a black bear, you should fight back because they're not actually that big, and a human can often fight them off. If you get attacked by a grizzly bear, your best bet is to play dead, I've heard. And if you get attacked by a polar bear, it doesn't really matter what you do because you've had it. But that may be terrible advice. I should probably clarify. Like, do not go on a long hike and base your bear avoidance techniques on what I just said now, based on something I picked up probably a few years ago. So, but that's just something I've heard. Perhaps any Americans, you clarify below if that's complete nonsense or not. I mean, you may save someone's life if you do.
Number 9. Spiders.
Okay.
Black widows and brown recluse spiders share an entry on our list as the most dangerous spiders in the US.
Oh.
Female black widows, distinguishable by the red hourglass mark on their abdomens, are the most fearsome by reputation. They'll
Sure.
sometimes devour their partners after mating.
Yeah, I've heard about this. I don't know if he says sometimes. I thought they always did, but yeah, like the female eats the male, which is something I don't want expanded to the human species. Very much so.
Own highly toxic venom.
I've had bad dates, but nothing on that level.
The illness associated with black widow envenomation is called latrodectism. It's described by pain, vomiting, and muscle rigidity. Contrary to popular belief, the condition is really fatal for humans.
Okay.
The brown recluse spider, although only slightly larger than a US penny, is quite dangerous in its own right. The hemotoxic properties of its venom can cause tissue necrosis. Severe
It's like trench fur.
lesions can become infected and may even lead to amputation.
Ooh.
Yet, like the black widows, the bite of a brown recluse spider is seldom fatal.
Okay.
Number
So basically, bears can kill you. Spiders, you're probably going to survive, but you might lose a limb. So, okay, I'll stick to the spiders for the time being.
8. Cougar.
Cougar? What's a cougar?
Cougars, also known as pumas or mountain lions, have the widest distribution of any wild animal in the Americas.
Oh.
In the US, populations are found across 16 states, mostly on the west coast.
Okay.
Male cougars average about 150 pounds, but in rare
They're a decent size. So I think I went to like some natural history museum. I think it was in New York. It might have been in Washington. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was in New York. And they had like these sort of stuffed big cats. And I think this is what they were. I think they were cougars. And they're actually really quite big. Like you wouldn't want to get into an argument with one.
cases may surpass 200 pounds.
Whew.
Even though that's about the weight of the average American male, the difference in power is considerable. Relative to its size, the cougar has the largest paws and hind legs found within the feline family. This enables it to perform outstanding leaps and reach sprinting speeds of up to 50 miles per hour.
So like you can never outrun it. Although it's the old thing. You don't need to be able to outrun the predator. You just need to be able to outrun the slowest person in your group. So that's not the brave thing to do, but yeah.
Which is actually faster than a greyhound.
Ooh.
It can also swim and is an apt climber.
Well, that's just not
Cougar's
fair.
muscular body is
Come on, it's got to have a weakness.
to hold in large prey, an ability enhanced by the retractable claws on its paws.
And
Attacks on humans.
so it can swim, it can run at 50 miles an hour, it can climb trees, and it's also Wolverine. This is ridiculous.
Are rare,
Terrifying.
but have seen an increase in recent years, mainly due
Oh.
to expansion into the cougar's natural range. The feline will attack if cornered or if a human triggers its chase instinct,
Okay.
typically by turning their back and running away. An attack usually involves a bite to the neck, in which the animal tries to sink its teeth between the vertebrae and into the spinal cord. Children are
God.
at greatest risk of getting ambushed by a cougar, and the least likely to survive an attack.
So basically, like if you see a cougar or perhaps other predators, don't just run away. Seems to be the advice. Like I guess maybe I don't know what you do, but don't run away because apparently that triggers their trace instinct. I will try and remember that.
Number 7. Grey wolf.
Grey wolf.
As the largest and strongest member of the Canidae family, the grey wolf was a mandatory introduction to our list. Its
Yes.
teeth are specialized for crushing bone, and its slender, powerfully built body favors relentless attacks. Although dangerous enough on its own, the wolf is notable for its pack behavior and cooperative hunting. A pack of 15 wolves, for example, is capable of taking down an adult moose. Interestingly,
I've seen videos on YouTube of like a wolf pack taking down a bison. I mean, it's probably sort of like a young bison.
the deer species can easily grow to be 15 times heavier than an individual wolf. While not as numerous as in Eurasia, North America has also seen a number of wolf attacks.
Okay, just to butt in here quickly. So I'm guessing that this is kind of like the extreme worst case scenarios. But like if you live in America, living in the UK, there's basically no wild animals you need to worry about. If you live in America and you want to go out like in the countryside for like a long walk or go hiking or something, like is this something you actually have to think about? I mean, is like coming across a bear so unlikely that like you just don't even think about it, or is it something you kind of consider and perhaps like prepare for in some way, or a coyote or wolves? I'd be really interested to know because one thing that's great about the British countryside is that nothing's going to happen to you. I mean, like honestly, like the most dangerous thing you'll come across is probably a cow, and I mean, and cows can be quite dangerous. People get trampled to death by them, but or indeed me and another human. But yeah, so I don't know in America if you have to sort of take like precautions to go into kind of the really wilderness areas.
The most recent fatality occurred in 2010 in Alaska when a young woman was killed while jogging. There's an argument that most wolf attacks are the result of an individual animal suffering from rabies.
Okay.
Nevertheless, wolf management programs from the United States Wildlife Service describe them as opportunistic hunters that will attack humans if given the chance.
Okay, that's pretty scary. I'm assuming the attacks must be very rare. Like I'd have heard of far more attacks if and they said the last one was in 2010. So there are people who want to bring wolves. There's this kind of thing called rewilding, which is quite big in Britain at the moment. We're basically bringing back extinct species. So wolves were hunted out of Britain in the Middle Ages. So, but there's a kind of a campaign to bring them back, and also bears. I'm not quite sure when they went extinct. I think it was even earlier. And obviously, like farmers generally don't like it, but there's also kind of controversies about like, would there be attacks on humans. So certainly, this is kind of interesting in the UK debate as well.
Throughout the years, encounters with hunters, shepherds, and ranchers have caused wolves to develop a fear of approaching humans. Yet wildlife experts warn against actions that may encourage wolves to be in the proximity of people, as it may lead to an increase in violent encounters.
Okay.
Number 6. Arizona bark scorpion.
Okay.
The Arizona bark scorpion,
what is
also
that?
known as Centauroides sculpturatus, is North America's most venomous scorpion. These creatures prefer riparian areas, meaning that they're found on land adjacent to rivers or streams. The popularity of irrigated lawns and other man-made water systems have led to an increase of scorpion populations in residential areas. The symptoms associated with the Arizona bark scorpion sting can last from 24 to 72 hours. They include intense pain, numbness, and convulsions, or temporary dysfunction of the affected area.
Okay.
The pain is so intense that victims reported experiencing sensations similar to electric shocks. While fatalities are rare, there are certain groups that are more at risk than others, such as children, the elderly, or people with compromised immune systems. In Arizona, thousands of people are reportedly stung by the scorpion each year.
But very few die by the sound of things. So like the spiders and the scorpions will cause you like intense pain, intense discomfort, but probably not kill you. Is the gist I'm getting from this? Whereas the bear might kill you. I think that's the right interpretation.
Bull shark.
Bull shark. Okay.
With the Atlantic Ocean on its east coast and the Pacific Ocean in the west, the US faces more than a dozen shark attacks every year. While the great white receives the brunt of the notoriety, there's an equally, if not more, dangerous shark. Unlike their mainly oceanic relatives, bull sharks are able to thrive in freshwater systems as well.
So I know a tiny bit about shark attacks because I used to have to write about them for a newspaper I work for. and I mean, a lot of them were in America or Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, etc. But there's kind of like four main types you got to be scared of or wary of. Other types can attack people, but there's four main culprits. So what was it? Obviously, great whites, bull sharks, tiger sharks, and oceanic white tips, I think. But oceanic white tips tend to be found kind of deeper, further out into water, so it tends to be more of an issue if your ship gets wrecked. Because I think there was an American warship that got sunk in World War Two, like a battleship, quite a big ship, and the survivors got attacked by these oceanic white tips, and they killed quite a few people. So yeah, that's a pleasant thought.
This makes them particularly dangerous when considering the US's sprawling riverways.
Ah, yeah, of
Bull
course.
sharks have been found up the Mississippi River, hundreds of miles from the ocean.
Blood of
They were also
wow.
spotted in the Ohio River and in Maryland's Potomac River. These creatures have pound per pound the most powerful bite of all the shark species. There's a combination of factors that make them particularly dangerous towards humans. It's not only about bite force and size, even though females average roughly 300 pounds or about as much as the typical sumo wrestler.
So I'm guessing like people don't go swimming in the Mississippi. Is that or not just the Mississippi, but like kind of the big American rivers? Like, is it advisable to go swimming in them, or is that? I mean, I know. Well, that's probably a stupid question. To go swimming in a river is pretty stupid anyway. But like in the sort of like the shallower bits or the tributaries or whatever, or is that seen as being like ridiculously dangerous?
Bull sharks are territorial, temperamental, and have no tolerance for provocation.
Okay.
These creatures might have even been responsible for the infamous Jersey Shore shark attacks of 1916,
Okay.
which served as an inspiration for the novel Jaws. Number
Oh.
4. Rattlesnake. By recent estimates, there are roughly 7,000 to 8,000 snake bites that occur in the United States every year.
It's a lot.
Fortunately, the development of antivenom has led to significantly less fatalities than in the past. Snake attacks are disproportionate in the country, with the majority of them occurring in warm weather states such as Texas and Florida.
Okay.
Among the various venomous serpents found across the land, there are about 16 rattlesnake species. These creatures are so dreaded that a timber rattlesnake was once put on a flag to motivate infantry forces.
Oh yeah, isn't this one of the very first American flags? It's like that like yellow one with "Don't tread on me," I think, or it was kind of used during the Revolutionary War.
In the American Revolution, the Continental Marines had a motto flag of a timber rattlesnake that was coiled and ready to strike.
Yeah.
Beneath it were the words, "Don't tread on me." These snakes are distinguishable by the rattle at the end of their tail. It's made of interlocked keratinous segments which vibrate against one another when the snake contracts certain tail muscles. This produces a distinctive rattling sound that acts as a deterrent to predators and as a warning to humans.
Oh, so it's basically doing you a favour. If you hear its rattle, it's saying like, "I am here. Do not come close to me." If you hear like a rattle sound in like Texas, either it's a small child who's just playing a rattle, or it's a rattlesnake warning you might be able to kill you. So yeah, or it's a small child warning that you might be about to kill you. So I can't rule out that possibility.
The eastern diamondback are the species responsible for most snakebite fatalities.
Oh,
The latter is known as the most venomous snake in North America and owns the longest fangs
oh
of any
God!
rattlesnake species.
Look at the size of them.
Number
So in the UK, we only have we have two or three snake species, but we only have one which is poisonous, which is like the adder. But even if you get bitten by it, which is very unlikely, even if you do, you almost certainly won't die. I think there've been like a couple of deaths recorded in sort of living memory, and they involve either very young people or very old people. So, I mean, it's very nasty. It makes your limbs swell up massively, but you're not going to die. By the sound of things, in America, you do have genuinely deadly snakes, which I'm actually kind of scared of snakes, so I'm going to be a little bit wary about that.
3. Deer.
Deer?
Deer may sound less terrifying than other animals on our list.
We even have those in the UK.
They're the deadliest. A number of species weigh several hundred pounds and certainly possess the mass to trample people to death.
Okay.
Males own majestic antlers, some of which are several feet across and definitely capable of inflicting severe injuries. However, fatal antler stabbings or brutal trampling isn't what makes the deer the deadliest creatures in the country. Most
Oh, it's going to be car crashes, isn't it?
will simply choose to run away
I
from
think.
humans rather than engage them. That's actually the crux of the matter. As deer move across their range, they end up on roadways or highways
Yes.
and collide with vehicles.
That makes sense now, because for a moment I just thought this video had lost the plot. I mean, it's one of those answers which is technically true, but also not quite what you were kind of expecting, or perhaps even hoping for. So it's like the most deadly animal in Africa being the mosquito. I mean, okay, that's fine, but we don't want to know about the mosquito. We want to know about lions and cheetahs. And I think that the second most deadly is the hippopotamus. So it's like the most deadly of what I kind of think of like proper animals is the hippopotamus, because apparently they get really aggressive when they're out of the water. So yeah, if you see basically takeaway message, if you see a lion in Africa, that's bad news. If you see a hippopotamus, that's terrible news. Act
In the
accordingly.
US, this type of collision causes about 200 human deaths and roughly
Oh,
$1 billion in property damage every year.
so I know Sweden has a big problem with elk, which are kind of like sort of massive deer, causing lots of road deaths. So I guess this does make sense. Although it's not something that I would have thought of. And I'm still waiting for the alligator. Where's the alligator?
It's so widespread that the idea of being surprised and caught like a deer in the headlights has become a
Sure.
saying. While easier to avoid during the day, deer are particularly difficult to spot at dusk or dawn. Habitat fragmentation is a considerable factor in the rise of deer vehicle collisions. Today's topic was requested by Instagram follower at Ryan Thompson
Okay.
5499.
Ryan Thompson 549. If you're watching this, why aren't you following me on Instagram? Because I have 110 followers, and I'm trying to get sponsorship deals, and everyone's saying no. So do me a
If you
favour.
have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Or follow us on Instagram and reach out to us there.
Okay. I will.
Number 2. American bison.
Yeah. That
American
makes
bison
sense. That's
is
terrible.
North America's largest land animal and nature's equivalent of a gigantic battering ram.
Yeah.
Its charge, a devastating combination of mass and speed, is powerful enough to derail a train. Also known as the buffalo, the
Wow.
species whose bulls can weigh up to 2,800 pounds in the wild and a staggering
And don't they go around in huge herds, don't they? So like, it's not like you're going to be confronted by like one buffalo or like a family group. You could be confronted by literally hundreds of them.
3,800 pounds in captivity. That's about as heavy as the average car. They own
Yeah.
massive heads, pronounced muscular humps, and giant
No, to
forepaws.
get personal.
Their short, curved horns are used as defensive weapons and to find for status within the herd. Despite its mass and seemingly lethargic movements, a charging bison can get up to 40 miles per hour. To put that into perspective, Usain Bolt's speed record topped out at 27.8 miles per hour. Historically, these creatures used to roam the continent in
So I was trying to remember the wolf does 50 miles an hour, and so the bison is only 10 miles an hour slower than the wolf, which is incredible when you think about like how big it is. And that's so if Usain Bolt does 27 miles an hour, I mean, what do I do? I don't know, 15 or something. Basically I'm not getting away.
vast herds. The spread of bovine diseases from domestic cattle and commercial hunting brought the creatures to the brink of extinction. They went
Oh,
from over 60 million in the late 18th century to only a few hundred thousand towards the end of the 19th century.
that's crazy. Oh yeah, I mean, I've heard that they were kind of hunted deliberately, partly as I mean, partly for sport, but also partly as a sort of a tactic to disrupt the Native American way of life. But that's crazy. That sort of numbers. I'm sure the disease also
Recovery
played a
efforts
big role.
steered its extinction, and the American
That's
bison is
good.
now mainly restricted to reserves and national parks.
Okay.
That's where a number of violent human encounters have occurred in the past decades. From 1980 to 1999, at Yellowstone National Park alone, bison attacked 3 times more people than bears.
Oh,
During this period, there were 3 reported fatalities, in addition to numerous reports of puncture wounds. and broken bones.
Ouch.
Official They Will Kill You merchandise is now available at
See, I said that this channel is not sensationalist in the slightest. Go get a t-shirt with a skull on it and walk around and see if people treat you with more respect.
.com. Some of it
I like.
is to die for.
I do like this to die for. I do like the zombies.
Moose.
Moose.
Even though they're part of the deer family, and even though they get in a fair share of vehicle collisions, moose most definitely deserve their own entry on our list.
Okay.
They're creatures of many extremes, as the largest and heaviest of all deer species. Exceptional bulls stand more than 6 foot 9 inches at the shoulder, meaning they're taller than NBA superstar LeBron James. Their massive antlers can span close to 6 feet from tip to tip, so you could horizontally fit the average American male between them.
Blimey.
The largest bulls weigh close to 2,000 pounds, almost twice as much as a grand piano. Moose are not only monsters in terms of proportion, but also temperament. When it comes to raw data, they attack more people than wolves and bears combined. They're also perfectly capable of killing both predatory species.
Oh, what? A moose can take down a bear? Wow. So I'm not sure if this is in like ascending order of number of fatalities, or if this is just like a kind of like a random list of 10. But if moose kill the most, then and not in car accidents, in actual physical attacks, then that is absolutely not what I expected. That's crazy.
They injure more humans than any other animal in the Americas, and are second only to hippos in worldwide attacks.
I see. I knew hippos are terrible. So yeah, you take one message away from this video: stay away from hippos, horrible bastards.
They can charge people and inflict devastating injuries with their antlers. One common sign of an imminent charge is that the hairs on its neck and shoulders will stand up.
Okay.
Moose are surprisingly limber, and unlike other large-hooved animals, they can kick in all directions. Not that you should ever do it, but this means there's no safe way to approach them. Thanks for watching.
So well, okay, that's really interesting. I'm in some ways very glad I live in the UK. In some ways, I mean, it would be cool to have all this amazing wildlife around, to have like some actually properly interesting wildlife. Again, I know I said this earlier, but for anyone watching from America, like, is this something you have to watch out for? So I'm guessing if you live in one of the big cities, it's just not really an issue at all. But if you live in the countryside, like, and you want to go for a long hike or something, do you have to like take precautions, or is it just so rare that it's not really something you think about? I mean, I've heard of people carrying bear spray to kind of put off bears, so like, I guess some people take precautions. Also, I'm really annoyed the alligator wasn't included, because surely I've heard that. I'm sure alligators attack people. They're terrifying. I've seen them in Florida, and I would not want to get on the wrong side of one of them. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. If you haven't already, please do consider subscribing, and I will be back soon with more videos.